Back here on JRTV for the NASCAR Winston Cup Series 2003 season. It is the 12th race of the season as we head to the Texas Motor Speedway for the running of the Samsung RadioShack 500. In back-to-back weeks, we go from a 3/4 mile short track to a 200 mile per hour, 1.5 mile quad oval here in Fort Worth, Texas. And I'm joined in the booth by Trey Bardo. Trey, this has always been one of the more chaotic racetracks on the schedule. Even though it's one of the newer tracks on the schedule, there have been some pretty big hits, pretty big moments over those past few races that we've had the track, including your last race here. You ended up going like crowd surfing on top of a few cars right here on the front stretch. What is it like racing at the Texas Motor Speedway with how fast this track is and how close everyone has to race together?
Well, I mean, minus the crowd surfing, like you said, which I kind of forgot about that, but every time we come back here, I always look at that area and I said, last time I was here, I was in the air. But yeah, it's weird that it seems like every time we come here, we have a car either in the air, upside down. We know at least we have one destroyed, right? But I don't understand why at a track like this, it seems to be the struggle for most of these drivers.
It just has to be something with the fresh pavement, right? With how new the track is, and the drivers have always talked about coming here to the Texas Motor Speedway. It's not the best in terms of the transition in banking off turns 2 and turn 4. What is it like there where, you come off turn 2, you go from 24 degrees of banking to 5 degrees on the straightaways. The drivers talk about how it's not smooth, that transition from 24 degrees to 5 degrees. Is that something that caused a lot of the accidents here at Texas?
I mean, in all honesty, it was a big, it was kind of a shock, I guess, if you want to say that, especially when you're side by side or even 3 wide, it unsettles these cars and it really gets kind of close as you're coming off that degree and cars just end up getting together and, things go bad from there. But, you would think that drivers would keep that in mind and kind of give each other more space, but it seems like they get closer and closer every time we come here. So we'll have to see if it's any different today.
Yeah, hopefully it's a little bit cleaner today than it has been the past few years. One team that's hoping they can keep it clean for the entire race here today is Dale Earnhardt Incorporated. Anthony Hernandez, for the second straight season at Texas, starts on the front row. Last season he got pole. This season he'll start in second place. Ryan Wilson was nowhere in practice, down below 35th, ends up qualifying in 6th place, and their other teammate Eli Bright starts in 9th place. So Trey, Dale Earnhardt Incorporated has not had the best of starts to the season so far. They haven't won a race so far this season. They've been kind of, hovering around for Eli Bright, hovering around the top 15 in points. Ryan Wilson trying to get inside the top 20. Hernandez got that penalty at Dover. So DEI's start to the season has been not so good compared to last season where they had all 3 cars in victory lane by this point last season. Is this a day where all 3 of them starting inside the top 10, they can try and turn it around?
You would definitely think that way, right? It's been hurtful for a lot of these fans to see DEI struggling here, but it seems like maybe this is a sign of, good things to come, especially with this one car, like you said. It seems like every time we come here, I mean, it's pretty fitting for him, right? That he seems to be always up front.
At his home track, yeah. I'm sure he loves to perform here at the Texas racetracks, and this being the final Texas race of the season, he'll definitely be going for broke to try and get a home win in front of the Fort Worth, Texas crowd. Also want to give a shout out to Evan Hunter starting on pole position at 36. He got pole by just 2/1000ths of a second over that number 1 car, and if you can believe it, this is his 4th season of Winston Cup competition. This is his first pole of his career, so it's great to see MB2 starting well with Evan Hunter, trying to get himself back into that championship fight. And speaking of the championship fight, it's currently down to just 2 drivers. However, Texas can change that. But Brett Trey starts in 7th place. Keyshawn Richardson is starting all the way back around 30th place in that 99. We had talked about after Richmond how one driver, who started well this season, a lot of races, Brett Sierra, his average start is inside the top 15. But for Keyshawn Richardson, Trey, his average start is down around 24th. And that just showed again here at Texas. Sierra starting in 7th place, Richardson down in 30th place. This cannot help Richardson at all in terms of that championship. I know he races well, whenever he starts not all that great, but you just can't have every race be like this and expect you to stay in touch with that points leader.
Yeah, he's definitely not helping himself here. I mean, he's still somehow managing to stay in this points battle, but his team, he's got to figure out something with this qualifying situation. It's sooner or later it's going to bite him.
And Roush Racing was honestly surprising as a whole in qualifying. They have 3 cars that qualified outside the top 30 on speed. Luckily, some cars failed inspection for them. They got some spots that way. But they have 3 cars starting outside the top 25. They have Jordan Stout starting just outside the top 10 and 13th. And then they have Matthew Burnett starting in 5th place. This is a team at this track last season, Trey. They ran 1, 2, 3, 4 at one point during the race. Now they have 3 cars coming from outside the top 25, only 1 car starting inside the top 10. I mean, this is uncharacteristic for Roush Racing, especially at a 1.5 mile oval. They've dominated them over the past few seasons.
Yeah, it's I don't think you can ever count them out of these type of races. So we'll have to see if can you call that a trend?
Yeah, I think it's a trend at this point.
Well, we'll have to see if that trend continues here.
And a trend that unfortunately did continue, Trey, is Zachary Fitzwater Sr. failed inspection once again. Remember, he failed inspection after his win out in California, lost all the points from that. And since then, he has failed inspection after qualifying at least 3, 4, or 5 times, right? It happened just last week at Richmond. It happens once again here this week at Texas. Justin Atkins joins him back there as failing inspection as well. So they have Atkins in 41st, Fitzwater in 42nd. Trey, at what point as the driver of Fitzwater do you go and say to your team, you need to figure this out? I cannot keep coming from the back of the field every single race like this. I qualified decently, and then you put me in the back because your cars are not legal. You need to bring a good race car to the track so that I can start where I qualify.
I would have said it after the 3rd time it happened. If even, I probably would have said it before that. I mean, this is starting to get unacceptable. I mean, honestly, I don't think in my career I've ever, had a situation like this where it's been how many times this season that the car is qualified good and then you get set back like you said. But this is it's almost like making, this team look like a joke. I mean, everyone else in the field is perfectly fine except for some reason this 2 car.
Yeah, it's like we're only 12. This is the 12th race of the season. He's failed inspection, whether it be after the race or after qualifying, like combined 5 times or something like that. I mean, at that point, you're almost in half of the races, you've had some sort of inspection failure. That is unacceptable out of a team, especially out of Penske Racing. It's not like it's a smaller team. This is a team that can compete for wins on a week-to-week basis, but this is a handicap for them.
No, it's honestly, it's more than a handicap. It might start to linger into a team killer because you're just not putting your car. You're essentially losing money, right? Because think about it. If you start up front, you finish up front, Joe, the money you get for that is big. But if you start up front, well, you have the chance to start up front, you get put in the back, and then you struggle to get back up front. Think of how much money you're losing for that, and it's only going to hurt the team.
Exactly. And, when it comes to after a race, you lose points and money that way. Your championship position drops. And then, that championship position at the end of the season, depending on where you are, it pays out a bigger bonus if you're higher up in the standings. So Fitzwater is going to have to come from the back of the field once again for the 2nd straight race. He came from the back at Richmond, finished around mid-pack. At Texas, it's a little bit easier to come through the field. However, some mayhem can happen early on. You can get involved in the crash and end your day short here at the Texas Motor Speedway. As we're about to get going here at Texas, let's take a look at some of our track facts here for the Texas Motor Speedway. Mostly clear skies. There are some dark clouds off in the distance. However, they should stay away from the racetrack, and we should be fine to complete every lap. It's a decent day in terms of temperature, just in the mid-70s, and just a little bit of wind for the drivers and the fans to deal with here at the Texas Motor Speedway. It will be a 67-lap race. That's just over 100 miles, and the fuel window is something to watch out for. They can go beyond 40 laps on a tank of fuel, about 40 to 45 laps. That's big because if we get a yellow flag around lap number 20, everyone's going to be coming down pit road under the caution flag. We've seen some incidents on pit road here in the past when everyone's on the pit road at the same time, so watch for that. If we get a yellow flag around lap 20, lap 25, they'll be coming down for their only stop of the race, and it could result in some chaos. We have 24 degrees of banking in the turns, 5 degrees on the straightaways, and watch out for some of these stats down here. In the 6 Texas races we've had in the Winston Cup Series, there have been 6 different winners. The 3 Texas winners in the field here today are Mathis Wells, Matthew Burnett, and Keyshawn Richardson. We'll see if one of them can become the first repeat Texas Motor Speedway winner. And as mentioned, Burnett and Richardson won the last 2, so that means the last 2 races have been won by Roush Racing here at Texas. They only have 1 car starting inside the top 10 here today. That's Matthew Burnett. We'll see if he can repeat just like he did in 2001 here at the Texas Motor Speedway as we'll go down trackside, get the command to fire the engines up for the Samsung RadioShack 500.
Drivers, start your engines!
.42 cars rolling off pit road to do battle here at the Texas Motor Speedway. Let's talk about this man trained 5th place. Matthew Burnett has not won a Winston Cup Series race since this race back in 2001. It's been 2 years for Burnett at Roush Racing since he got to victory lane. He almost won it last week at Richmond, came just short of Chris Jericho with the checker flag. Is today the day he can get back to victory lane here at the Texas Motor Speedway?
Definitely seems like he's slowly warming up into getting that car into first place at the end of one of these things, so you never know. He's starting up front. He might be out of the way of the mayhem. They could be the day.
And let's go back to his other teammate that's starting inside the top 15. That's Jordan Stout in the number 6 car. Trey, it has been a dismal start to the season for Stout here in 2003. He only has one top 10 finish through 11 races. He currently sits outside the top 20 in the point standings. What does Stout have to do to turn the season around right here at the Texas Motor Speedway track, where he's led a lot of laps in the past?
Easy. Gonna work his way up front and stay up front. It seems like this 6 car either has a really good start to the season or a terrible start to the season, and we're witnessing that terrible start. So sooner or later, he's got to get this thing turned around.
He starts beside his old ride from 2000, Luke Renee, the 88, to his outside in 14th. But at the front, it's Evan Hunter and Anthony Hernandez, the front row. Watch for Kukulon and Jericho. Kukulon trying to turn his season around. Jericho trying to continue the momentum he has from Richmond. The green flag is waving in the wind, and we're underway in the Samsung RadioShack 500. Trey, it's rare you see the points leader go 3 wide on lap 1, but that's what Brett Sierra just did. Forced it to the inside Matthew Burnett. It creates a 3 wide scenario, and now cars shuffling around. Burnett up the racetrack 3 wide. How about down to the bottom, Tyler Belladonna? At the front, Evan Hunter leads the first lap, but it's chaos. About 10th place, down into turn 1 at nearly 200 miles per hour.
I don't know if you see this, Joe, but these cars look twitchy right now.
They are unstable for sure. Up the track, Belladonna!
Ooh.
Nails the outside concrete. He drops the outside line back, including Sarah Kirchner and Matthew Burnett. They drop back through the field, along with Ryan Wilson, Lathan Strickland. The inside gets away because of it. At the front, you can see Stout and Jericho battling. Hunter Reed getting away from it. Evan Hunter still leads. The one right behind him in second place. Then Kukulon in third. And then you can see the big mess behind the front 8 as 9th on back try to catch up. They are 3 wide, about 4 or 5 rows deep.
I don't know if I like the way this looks, Joe.
It's like we're racing at
they pinch each other.
It's like Daytona or Talladega right here with how they're racing here. They're packed together, 3 wide. Belladonna has damage from hitting that wall. He's almost looking 4 wide on Colin Lewis. Backs out of it. Look at this as the cars, as you mentioned, they're twitching around. They're sliding around. They're obviously unstable, but they're somehow making it work for now. You can see Kirchner trying to get by that number 77 because it's been Belladonna that's really, put the anchor out and is dropping the cars behind him back.
So what's the thing we're looking for here that could spell trouble? Like, you say Daytona 4 wide. You can't do that at all. It's going to cause a wreck. But at a track like this, what's the thing that could set it off?
Oh, it could be that right there!
Oh, right there!
Belladonna and Lewis got together. They kept it going straight. The 91 got down to the bottom. Belladonna's still backing up on the outside. Trey, Matthew Burnett, he went from starting in. Look at this. There's 4 Roush cars back here. Right back around 40th place at the last spot. It's Keegan Thompson, that number 5 car.
That's a very stacked back of the field.
So in the span of 5 laps, Trey, Matthew Burnett went from 5th place starting spot. He's now last, 42nd. He dropped 37 spots in just 5 laps here at Texas.
Yeah, there's definitely something going on with this 17 team. That's not the, they started on the inside, didn't they?
Yeah, they started on the inside, but when they got stuck by that 77, Belladonna dropped the anchor because he hit the wall, and they have not been able to get that ground. And you can see the Roush cars have started back here, like DeLillo and Rando and Richardson. They're still back here. Keegan Thompson's back here. Sarah Kirchner started inside the top 10. She's back here as well. It's not been a good day for a lot of these big-name teams. At the front, still Evan Hunter leading over Kukulon. Hernandez back to 3rd. His teammate Eli Brightson 4th. And then the battle for 5th place. Riley Purdue has it. Sierra wants it. They can see Jericho and Stout and Hunter Reed. Once again, 9 cars have gotten away. Then 10th place is Zidell. A great run through the field for him. He started outside the top 25. Laura Chung started outside the top 30. She's moving her way through the field. Mathis Wells, last season's champion, just outside the top 10. He started poorly. And how about the man who started back? 42nd place. Zachary Fitzwater Senior Trey is up to 17th place, and we're only 7 laps into the running.
He might be driving a little angry, though.
Yeah, he and Atkins both. I mean, failed inspection. Atkins had a pretty good, solid starting spot in 13th place, and obviously it dropped him back to 41st, but now Atkins has moved up to 15th, just in front of that number 15 of Ryan Wilson. He's just behind Nathan Baird, and Baby Ruiz is at the front. Kukulon has closed right up onto the back of Evan Hunter. Eli Bright passes his teammate Anthony Hernandez, moves his way up to third place, and down the back straightaway we go. Kukulon, he's not yet won a race this season. He's down the lowest RCR car in points. Can today be the day? He turns his season around. He's looking on Hunter, but having to, catching Trey, that's one thing. Passing the leader, that's a completely different story for Sebastian Kukulon and the rest of the field.
Yeah, definitely, especially with, like you said, this 36 was the top of the class right next to that one, and I think once you get that 36 in clean air, we can see it right now, he's going to be extremely difficult to pass, especially when at 29 really has no one to kind of, in theory, work with here. If this 8 can get up to the back of him, maybe to get some sort of run going to get past that 36, but until then, he might just be stuck.
I'd watch for Eli Bright here today. He has not had a great season in terms of qualifying effort. Well, here today, he qualified inside the top 10, one of his better starting spots of the season. Now he's racing well in the early stages of the race. He's really in a position now he doesn't have to push that car. He can keep that car just among the top 5 and maybe save stuff for the end of the race. And by the way, his lone Winston Cup Series career victory, it came in the state of Texas at the Texas World Speedway last season. So maybe he's a fan of the Texas state and he can try to get to victory lane here at the other Texas racetrack as Kukulon is pressuring Hunter down to turn 1, maybe getting him loose as he goes up the track. Kukulon to the bottom of Evan Hunter for the lead on lap number 12. They'll drag race down the back straightaway for the race lead. Kukulon the bottom, Hunter up top, and Kukulon shoved the advance through 3 and 4 and might bring Bright, Hernandez, and Riley Spruill with them to the bottom lane.
You know what that tells me about that 29 car, Joe?
What does it tell you?
He's fast.
I think it is
He's
fast.
real fast.
I think qualifying showed that third place, definitely his better starting spot of the season, and he's proving it right now out in front in the Samsung RadioShack 500. Bright moved to second. He gets moved aside by teammate Anthony Hernandez. That's going to bring Riley Spruill right up to the back of the 1 car as well, and just lurking behind these front 5 is our points leader Brett Sierra, still hanging tough in 6th place. That's what he has to do to keep this points. He's currently in 6th place, while his championship rival Keyshawn Richardson is back in 25th, as now Hernandez gets moved up, Riley Spruill to the bottom, but Trey Sebastian Kukulon, he's gapping the field as they battle side by side for second.
Yeah, this battle here is only going to help that 29. There's going to be a point to where he can maybe start to back out some, but now this 28 is clear, so we'll have to see if he is going to be able to catch that RCR. If not, I mean, when do you start to just settle in here, kind of ride it out till, either a caution comes out or a pit stop starts to cycle through?
Yeah, I thought they were going to be doing that here for a while. They looked like they had been calmed down, but once they passed that 36 out in front, everyone started passing each other. And here these 2 teammates are still going at it. I don't think Eli was happy that Hernandez took the run on him and didn't just try and push him up to that 29. So Bright's going to take 5th back from his teammate Anthony Hernandez in the number 1 car. Behind this group, catching because of that battle, how about Justin Zeidel, Hunter Reed, and Mathis Wells? They're up inside the top 10, so is Laura Chung. So some of the drivers that didn't start well are moving up. And just outside the top 10, you have Stout in 11th, and Justin Atkins from 41st is now up to 12th place. That 30 has absolutely flown through the field. We're only 15 laps into it. Atkins sees the top 10 in his sights, and just behind him we have Chris Jericho. He's kind of dropped. Ryan Wilson, Baby Ruiz has moved up nicely. Then Mitchell Collins, Strickland moving up in the 48, trying to get some spots back that he lost on the start. Jay Randall had to start a little bit further back. He's up inside the top 20. Fitzwater dropped, but still up inside the top 20 from his 42nd place starting spot. There you have Evans and Thompson moving his way back through the field. That Finding Nemo paint scheme, a movie coming out in just a few weeks' time. So maybe people will go see that now that it's on the that number 5 car.
What is it?
Finding Nemo. It's apparently a story about fish.
Well, alrighty then.
Yeah.
Are you gonna go see it?
I may. We'll have to see if time permits to go see it. It's at the front. Time permits for Riley Spruill to get to the lead. He passed Kukulon, brought Hunter to second with him, so Spruill leads the lap for 5 bonus points. That could be big because he's still up near the championship fight. But Brett Sierra, his championship rival, is currently in battle for 3rd place with Kukulon. They go side by side with Kukulon trying to pass that 25, put him up top and drop him back. Zeidel is moved by Hernandez, who drops a few spots. Zeidel now up near the top 5 with Hunter Reed and Mathis Wells moving up with him. Hernandez dropping back on this run of the race so far, with Laura Chung having that one in her sights, as that could be a good battle for 9th place right here as Bright and Sierra still go at it. That's the battle for 4th and 5th. Sierra up the track. Here comes his teammate Justin Zeidel. It's been a long time for Zeidel since he's gotten to victory lane. He just moves up inside the top 5 right there. Had a shot to win this race last season, just didn't have the speed at the end to beat the Roush cars.
It seems like so far, right, we've had only 2 leaders, right? But every time the leader's getting passed, they lose at least 2 spots or more, right? Think about it. The 36 he lost what? 3 spots in a matter of 2 corners,
Yep.
or straight away in 2 corners, and then the 29 just got passed, but he's down to 3rd now. So it seems like these guys can pull away, but the moment they get passed, it seems like everyone can take advantage of it.
And the points leader's not having a fun time up top. He had just been in 4th place a few laps ago, was actually in 3rd place. He got passed by Kukulon, got passed by Bright, and now everyone is wanting to filter by the points leader, Brett Sierra. He's outside the top 10 now, and now he's in a battle with Atkins for 11th. Here comes Ryan Wilson, who wants a spot from him as well. Wilson moves the 25 aside. Right here's a gap to get in front of Bibi Ruiz, but the 25 doesn't get off turn too well. Ruiz has a run, might take it to the bottom. 25 still going to be stuck up top because Ruiz got the run, took it down low, bringing Collins in. Here comes Sirius to Lathan Strickland as well, so the 25 still dropping back, but got a great run through 3 and 4 up top, but couldn't complete the corner, and the 7 stays to the inside through the quad oval.
25 struggling right now. I mean, let alone he just can't find a space to the inside, but I would think, maybe Sierra, with how aggressive he is, he was trying to force his way down there, but it seems like he just cannot find any sort of, room.
Rando was just aggressive right there, moving 3 wide by Strickland, and also got by Brett Sierra. The 25 still dropping back. He might be up top 3 wide now. Strickland goes to the middle. Jericho's down low. He didn't want to go 3 wide. The 48 just forced it to the middle to try and get that spot for the 25, and Sierra's still dropping back. Can't find a way down in line. He's going to drop more positions. Down now to 16th, down now to 17th, to 18th, to 19th. There's 20th place Jack Carter, and then Fitzwater on 21st. Brett Sierra is falling outside the top 20 in a matter of just about 5 or so laps.
No one person who's going to like to see this at 99.
Yeah, because Richardson's still mired back in 24th place, and he's about 2.5 seconds behind this number 25 car. So while Sierra's still gaining points on him, it's a lot better than what it just was about 5-6 laps ago, where Sierra's now, he was up in 3rd place. He's now down to 22nd place. Just 2 spots separate that 25 from the 99. If he keeps falling like he did, that 99 could absolutely close in and gain back. But here's a pass for Sierra on Fitzwater as Thompson's trying to get by his teammate, Lathan Strickland. The Hendrick cars have not really shown up today, besides Justin Zeidel, who was one of the lower starting Hendrick cars here today. But right now he's in a battle for 4th place with Eli Bright. In front of this, Evan Hunter just got passed by Sebastian Kukulon, so 29 back up to 2nd place, Hunter in 3rd, then Bright in 4th, Zeidel in 5th, and then Mathis Wells in 6th place. A good run through the field for this number 20, last season's champion. Trey has not yet won a race this season, however the confidence has to be there. Now they just saw his teammate Chris Jericho go out and notch Joe Gibbs Racing's first victory of the 2003 season last week at Richmond.
Yeah, that's definitely good, and maybe it'll start something up in that camp. I feel like, honestly, they kind of been struggling.
And it's interesting to see that, Mathis Wells through the first 11 races this season, he has 6 top 10s, and you'd say, well, that's good, and it is, because Keyshawn Richardson, who has the most top 10s, only has 8. So Richardson only has 2 more top 10s than him. The problem is Mathis Wells is down outside the top 10 in points. You can ask, well, how is that possible? If he has so many top 10s, how is he outside the top 10 in points? The simple reason is that if he's not finishing inside the top 10 Trey, he's finishing outside the top 20, top 25. And, if you want to have a good, point season, you have to be, if you're not finishing inside the top 10, you're finishing 15th. But for Mathis Wells this season, if he hasn't finished inside the top 10, he's finished 33rd or something. It's just not been a consistent season for last season's champion, where he was very consistent last season. That's what got him the championship.
Yeah, definitely. And, I mean, again, how many times have we seen it before where, the would-be champion of said season struggled at the beginning, but come, the summer and just, maybe a little after, they got really consistent and was finishing up front, and they worked their way into that championship battle and ended up coming away with it.
That's exactly the point, is that, every season on JRTV, we've not had, the champion be leading points and dominating throughout the whole season. You think back to 2000, it was Keegan Thompson's championship all the way up until the last race when you took it from him. And then in 2001, it was Brett Sears all throughout the summer, but then Chris Jericho found a way, late summer into the fall to get points and end up passing Brett Sears. And then last season, we didn't know who was going to win the championship. It was, from one driver to the next, and there was about 10 drivers that could have won it. Ended up with Mathis Wells, who was about, 400 points back at one point in the season winning it. So, yeah, you don't have to be good right now. However, being good right now definitely builds you up a cushion to where you can have a few bad races and not really drop too far in the point standings.
Yeah, definitely. And a series like this where how many times have we seen a driver just plummet for at least 5 races in a row,
Yeah.
right? And we thought they were, a for sure contender in this thing. So you can never be too comfortable.
That's the beautiful thing with the Winston Cup Series is that, other racing series, they have some form of parity, but the Winston Cup Series takes it to a whole new level where you can go out one week and finish inside the top 3 and, be in the contention for the win. The very next week, you can go to a very similar racetrack with maybe even the same race car, and you can go from battling up for that win the one week, the next week you could be struggling in 22nd place. That's just the parity that the Winston Cup Series has over the past few seasons. It's been great to see.
Yeah, it is very good to see here. And another thing we like to see here is a couple of strong cars starting to battle it out here. Is this 29, he's kind of not really, say the word settled himself out here, but he's kind of stalled right here behind this 28. And we'll have to see if, maybe he comes pit stops, he tries to undercut him, try to jump him, or comes into the same lap, or what they have planning here.
We'll try. I'm looking on the leaderboard. There is one heck of a mess around 20th place, where Jericho has fallen and still falling in that 18. He has Richardson back behind him, just a few cars in front of this. Brett Sears trying to get his way back through the field. You have Evans back here. You have Luke Rennie, Tim Gary, a lot of very big-name drivers, a lot of very aggressive drivers back in that mess. And just in front, there's another big mess. Jack Carter's moving nicely through the field in that Bell Carter Racing cars. He's up now just outside the top 15, but definitely a lot of big names kind of, floundering here today, where you have Sierra here just inside the top 20. Evans is back here. Luke Rennie, Fitzwater, Gary, and Jericho, and there's second in points Richardson. Then even further back, DeLello's not had a good day. But Richard Crown Jr. started top 10. He's fallen back. You look back here, Sarah Kircher started top 10. She's back here in that number 33 and 34th place. And then there's the two Jasper cars running together, and Matthew Burnett, we mentioned, started 5th place, but running right now in 38th place, and that's on speed, right? Once he got back there, he couldn't get those spots back. He's stuck back in 38th place.
Yeah, I don't know what's going on with that 17. That's very strange to see, but I mean, it just must be one of those days where they clearly missed the mark on the setup of the car, and now they're paying the price for it. But we'll have to see, if they make any adjustments and try to gain at least a couple of spots from where they're running right now.
Yeah, we'll have to see if they can at least maybe move up into the top 30, try and just salvage what they can, because he's still top 10 in points entering this race, so everything they can try and get could work out for them as Riley Spritzer continues to lead here at the Texas Motor Speedway. It's a great time to get to our Gatorade audience analysis, as pit stops are about 5 laps away for these front runners. Last week, we'd asked who was the current favorite to overtake points leader Brett Sierra for the championship lead, and for 45% of the fans, they might want to look away, because 45% said Sarah Kirchner, currently not running too well here at the Texas Motor Speedway. Sierra's not running well either, but Kirchner is about 10 spots behind him currently on the racetrack.
Yeah, that's they also seems are not doing the best, where compared to her teammates right now, one running second, the other one running 10th, and the 31's somewhere around there, a little farther back. I think just around the top 20 or something like that. But yeah, they are not doing the best, and I mean, they qualified good.
Yeah,
they just don't have the race pace.
Well, here today, it's as it looks like pit stops are actually starting. As Kukulon is looking like he's going to bring that 29 to pit road. That, or he just really messed 3 and 4. Now he's going to come down, so he's going to do a very big undercut here, try and get the tires on sooner and get some track position that way. As the tires have really fallen off. The times have fallen off. If you come in early, like a lot, Richardson came in even earlier. If you come in early, you get a lot of spots on pit road. So that's the plan for Kukulon and some of these drivers that are coming in. They're going to try and get the tires on now, and then we'll have to see what they can do with them on the one lap, better tires that they have here as the rest of the field has to make their way down pit road.
Yeah, this became a very, very busy pit road in a very short amount of time here. As looks like the rest of the field will be coming in. They got to be careful now of any contact.
Yeah, there's cars coming out now, and they're coming in, so this could slow them up even more as Riley Spritzer comes in, and everyone is now. And look, he had to check up to let Tim Gary go, and that's just going to cost him that extra little bit as Evans leaves. And we saw the 31 have contact on pit road last season. Hopefully nothing happens this season, but yeah, it's a mess up here.
Oh my goodness, what are we looking at? Oh, contact!
Chris Jericho and Evan Hunter!
Oh, and then he got hit again. Well, that's what happens whenever, like you said, guys coming off pit road, others coming on, and Jericho paid the price big time there. But I'm curious to see
There's
where the
29.
29 is compared to the 28.
Just one lap fresher tires for Kukulon, but it pays off big. Kukulon is going to inherit the lead over Riley Spurtube in the 28 car. Ryan Wilson's going to be up to third place with Rando up to fourth. And look at this. Hernandez came in sooner. He's going to move up. Mathis Wells just had to get past 3 wide by Ruiz and Hunter Reed right there as Wells is coming up to speed. Mitchell Collins is back here. Evan Hunter trying to get up to speed. He surprised he was able to get going there after what happened on pit road with he and Jericho.
Yeah, I hope. I don't think I saw any, crew members over the wall just yet as they made contact. As we saw that Jericho kind of got pushed into the stall there, but I think we're all right.
Yeah, I think we're good as Kukulon gets a big lead, 2.5 seconds over Riley Spurtube right there. So 28 gets up to speed, and now it's 3 seconds over that number 28. But now let's get to our Gatorade audience analysis for this week, and maybe this could be a good thing for Sebastian Kukulon as we have this question of these winless drivers for the 2003 season, who is going to get to victory lane first? Now, Kukulon's not an option on this, but maybe we would want to make one, but we have Sarah Kurtzner, we have Lathan Strickland, we have Matthew Burnett, and we have Riley Spurtube as the option. So, I mean, of those 4, who's going to be the first one to get to victory lane this season?
Well, Spurtube seems to be in a nice spot right now. So does the 15, right?
Yeah.
So you got 2 of them battling it for it right now, but we'll have to see. I mean, 3 seconds is a big lead, but like you said, that 29 has a lap older tires compared to everyone else, so we'll have to see if that comes into play later on.
Well, it's interesting to see at the front of the field how many 2003 winless drivers we have. Kukulon's not yet won this season. He's up in the front. Riley Spurtube's not yet won this season. Neither has Ryan Wilson. Rando's won twice. Hernandez hasn't won this season. Ruiz hasn't won. Wells hasn't won. Hunter Reed hasn't won. Jack Carter hasn't won. Laura Chung hasn't won. This number 12 Collins hasn't won. The odds are we're getting a new winner. However, Jay Reno could spoil that.
Well, it's Roush, so it's
true.
nothing new if they do end up spoiling it, right?
That's true, but Riley Spurtube is gaining on Sebastian Kukulon. He just cut 3/10 out of the lead, and he still has over 20 laps to go. Now we're going to, kind of sort everything out where everyone has run as Laura Chung battles for 9th place with Jack Carter. A good fight right there. Behind Mitchell Collins is dropping back. So we know the top 10. Collins is dropping back, but further back, some drivers that fell on this cycle. Atkins is back in 16th place. Actually, just passed Nathan Barrett, so he's up to 15th. Thompson's now 16th. Jordan Stout is back here. Eli Bright has fallen back after pit stops. And Brett Sear is about where he was, 21st, but now he's losing points to Keyshawn Richardson because of Richardson's play of coming down pit road sooner than anyone. Back here, Luke Rennie's dropped a few more. Fitzwater's dropped a few spots. There you can see Matthew Burnett's moved up inside the top 30, trying to pass another car, Jude Martinelli. That would be for 27th place. Conrad Evans has fallen outside the top 30. 31st place. As we look back, Zeidel had an issue. He had to come back down pit road. He's 5 laps down. Oh, my gosh.
Whoa, that's so clearly it was something pretty major for them to be 5 laps down on pit road and just now coming out as we're looking at a 3-wide situation here with the 18 who was involved on a pit road incident, but it seems like that car is racing as it was beforehand. Just got some damage on the right side.
Yeah, but now he's down in 38th, make it 39th as Kirchner gets by him. So 2 drivers right there who are looking for big point stays. Kirchner and Jericho, they're down sub 35th place and battling for 38th, 39th, and 40th as we have Zeidel and Miller. 5 laps down for Zeidel, 7 laps down for Jacob Miller. They're not going to improve any unless there's an accident. Some cars fall out of the race. We've now worked our way back to Sebastian Kukulon, who's still in the lead, but now only 2 seconds. When we went away, the gap was 2.9. Now it's 2. Spurtube's closed in. He closed in once again about a 10th. He's in 2nd place. Randos just moved to 3rd, and Anthony Hernandez is flying on this run. Hernandez just moved by his teammate Ryan Wilson. The 1 is up to 4th place. On the bumper, the 97 for 3rd as they race their way down the back straightaway. Wilson's back in 5th now, but still a top 5 so far. Ruiz is in 6th. Mathis Wells is 7th. Hunter Reed a good day in 8th place. Laura Chung has moved up to 9th. And Keyshawn Richardson is now up the highest. He's been top 10 for the 99. And his championship rival Brett Sierra down in 21st place. Richardson will be getting a good chunk of points here today at the Texas Motor Speedway.
That's a gaggle of cars right there.
5 cars under a blanket, and one of them's probably a little bit angry after that pit stop. Eli Bright lost a lot of ground. Carter on the drop back. Hunter trying to get spots back in the 36 as well. It's all sorts of chaos. This right now is a battle for 15th place on the racetrack. Eli Bright trying to get up into the top 15, bringing Jordan Stout to the inside of Tim Gary, and then Gary has his team owner Evan Hunter to get to the inside of him. They're in a battle right now as this is a chaotic pack of cars racing off into turn number 1, and everyone filtering around trying to find a way to get every spot they can. Evan Hunter, the pole sitter, getting Stout a little bit up the racetrack, and they'll battle for 16th down the back straightaway.
This is, you know what? I'm proud of these guys so far for not continuing the trend of absolute destruction here.
Yeah,
it's nice to have a clean race.
Second straight race where we said, you know, watch out for cautions, watch out for early cautions, watch out for big accidents. Well, at Richmond, we went caution-free when we said that. Here at Texas, 50 laps in, so far caution-free. We still have about 17 laps to go, but so far it's looking pretty good to have a mostly clean Texas race, and you don't normally see that here at the Texas Motor Speedway. It just happened here today, and it's been a good one even with how clean it's been. A great battle for 10th place. Richardson trying to keep it, to keep every point he can. However, Lathan Strickland is right there, Justin Atkins and Keegan Thompson as well. So a great battle, 9th, 10th, 11th, 12th, and 13th place. As here's the battle for 10th. Atkins moving low, and Strickland trying to get low on Richardson as well. Remember, Atkins started back in 41st place. That number 30 trying to get up into the top 10 late as we have 15 to go at the line. The gap at the front still stabilizing about 1 3/4 second from Kukulon to Riley Spurley-Tube. Atkins has just got by Richardson to move up inside the top 10, and another about 10th and a half taken out of the lead as Spurley-Tube closing in, but he's also bringing Trey, that number 1 of Anthony Hernandez, with them. Hernandez has gained on the 28. He's also gaining on the 29 with it. That one might be the fastest car on the racetrack. Can he win at home? He has to try and cut that gap down, but he still has about 14 laps to do it.
They're still doing about roughly a 10th a lap, right? Give or take. We'll have to see what it is. Last time it was 1.6. This time it's 1.4. That was a big drop right there. But now they're going to battle for second place. So if they stay side by side for long, it's only going to help that 29.
Yeah, but I think with how fast that one is, he's going to make that pass down here in turns 3 and 4. He'll have his sights set on that number 29. Can Hernandez find a way to get to him is the big question. The one is now out in front of the 28, and he'll be the one to try and lead the charge on to Sebastian Kukulon, but not too much time left. He can't lollygag. He needs to keep the foot to the floor. Right there, the gap stayed the same, Trey. He did not lose anything making that pass on the 28 car.
That's scary if you're that 29 team. The fact that he was able to make a pass and keep the same distance, that's crazy. But Spurley-Tube's not going to help.
Well, I guess when you make enemies, Trey, they might come back and bite you at some point. Right there, Riley Spurley-Tube knows the one is faster, but he just kind of held him up for a corner right there saying, I want to pass you. I don't really care about you. I just want to get the best finish I can. And still the one gained just a little bit, even with that mess up. And now he's going to get away from the 28, have a shot, but he only has 12 laps to run that 29 car down.
Yeah, this 28's got a little bit of a company from, it is a lapped car,
Yep.
but he's decently fast. So we'll have to see how that all, figures out there as we're looking 3, not quite. The 20 thought better of it. We're going to settle it back down, which is good to see. We can't be risking anything this late into a race.
It's a great battle. 5th place. And how about the run for Melling Ultra Motorsports? Baby Ruiz, top 5 for that smaller team. Great to see for Baby Ruiz here today. Could be one of his career days in the Winston Cup Series, and he brings the last season's champion Matthews Wells up to 6th place with them. Wilson back to 7th. Reed is 8th. 9th is now Thompson, and here comes his teammate Lathan Strickland for 10th on Laura Chung. Atkins and Richardson are just behind that. Evan Hunter's moved up nicely, back up to 14th place. Stout's back up to 15th, and Brett Siratrey moving through the field up to 18th, bringing Luke Rainey with them. So the 25 gaining some points back, but still behind Richardson, still losing points to Richardson. But at the front, losing time to the 1 car is Sebastian Kukulon. Hernandez is really gaining, 9 to go at the line. Can he get to Kukulon and find a way by him? In these final 9 laps, Kukulon trying to stay out in front to get another win for RCR this season. But DEI trying to get their first win of the season. 2 tenths again, taking out the lead. Now 9 laps to go.
This is they might have enough. Well, they probably will have enough time to catch this 29. But Joe, the real question is, these guys are clearly pushing it. How does tires ever really come into effect here?
Well, they have fresher tires than the 29 Kukulon, so if anything, they can they have, an allowance to push just a little bit harder than this 29 car because they have a lap pressure. We have Angel Gutierrez off the pace. Will he get back to pit road? If he stalls on the racetrack, will the yellow come out and set up a late race restart? 8 laps to go. Kukulon gets by. Everything's fine so far. The 14's on the apron, but he's coming to a stop down there in turns 1 and 2. Will the officials deem the caution has to come out here? With coming around to 7 to go, they still have time to get a restart in.
You definitely know that the 1 and 28 both saw that, as well as the 29. They're all pushing as fast as they can. If the caution comes out, just a restart could mean everything. But Joe, I think, is that the 14 on pit road? Did he make it back?
I think we're good in that regard, so we're not going to get a yellow flag. Angel Gutierrez is on pit road. We stand under the green flag. 3-car race for the win. Kukulon, Hernandez, Spurley 1, 2, 3, and they're all within half a second at the end of this one. Back around to 6 to go at the line. Can Kukulon find a way to hold on? Can Hernandez, the homegrown Texas hero, get to victory lane here at the Texas Motor Speedway? We just have 6 laps to figure it out. The top 3 within 0.3 of a second.
This is going to get interesting here, Joe. Who do you think? If you had to pick right now, everyone you're looking at, who do you think is going to walk away with this?
The most aggressive driver in this pack trade is going to be that number 1 of Hernandez, and that could lead him to victory lane. I think if it was Spurley in second, Kukulon could maybe hold him off, but the one's not going to be clean if he gets to that 29 car. He's going to obviously force the issue. He might give him the bumper. He might even turn him. We know Hernandez doesn't care. He might just make whatever pass he can get.
You think Hernandez is still holding the most unpopular driver award in the field today?
He and Evans are... they might be sharing holding it, but we'll have to see. Obviously, right now, I think the crowd is trying to will Anthony Hernandez to get by this 29 car as we're coming back to 4 to go. Kukulon still holding station out in front, but the 1 and the 28 are clearly faster. But does Spurley ever try a pass on the number 1 to maybe make them both lose some ground? 4 laps to go here in the Samsung RadioShack 500. Traffic ahead for Sebastian Kukulon. It's the number 77 of Tyler Belladonna, who was fair to the leaders last race at Richmond. We'll see if he's just as fair this race. Oh, Sebastian Kukulon! Oh, no!
Is he out of fuel?
He might be out of fuel, but now look at this! Riley Spurley in it is trying to get to the inside of Anthony Hernandez with now 3 laps to go. Hernandez leads the lap, but Spurley has the bottom lane down into turn number 1.
Well, that makes me wonder, is that people only pitted a lap after this 29, and did they try to maybe put less fuel into the car, try to make it to the end, in less time on pit road, Joe? This might get interesting here.
It could for sure. Spurley to Hernandez still side by side. The 28's going to clear the 1. Now back. The 1 is out of fuel.
He's out of fuel.
And now Riley Spurley was away. Does he have the fuel to make it? Just 2 laps to go.
The risk you play with strategy. I mean, you would have to think, right? These guys they questioned it on fuel. They put less in than maybe they were hoping they needed. It's coming to bite them. Does this 28 have enough to make it around 2 more times?
And Trey, further back, I think Keyshawn Richardson may have played that same strategy. He's falling back. He might be on pit road out of fuel. That or he's just going slower trying to make it. The 18's on pit road. There's the white flag for Riley Spurley. Cars are littered on pit road. Spurley has 1 lap to go. Does he have the fuel to make it? Jay Reynolds 2.5 seconds back in second place. Riley Spurley has not yet won this season, trying to close back in on the points lead as they race down the back straightaway for the final time. He's all by himself out in front of the field. Down into turns 3 and 4. He had one get away from him at the Atlanta Motor Speedway earlier this season. Well, here today, it comes back to him at Texas. Riley Spurley has the fuel to hold up and win the Samsung RadioShack 500.
Well, stuff switched up pretty quick there.
All I can say is wow.
You know, now this might be just me overthinking it, right? Remember when Hernandez first passed his 28? Oh,
that was close.
That was very close. But anyways, remember when Hernandez first passed his 28, and then the 28 kind of like, not faked him out, but looked to pass the 1 back again, come around the next time in that turn 4 there.
Yeah.
But he looked like he backed out. I wonder if, maybe the 28 was questionable on fuel, and so he decided to run behind the 1, try to save a little bit there.
And something else I can think of, right, is they could have gone longer on that first run, but they came in just past the midway point, and the speeds picked up in the second half. They didn't fall off like they did in the first half. The first half of the race had a lot of fall off on the tires. In that second half, it didn't have nearly the amount of fall off. Everyone was running very fast laps. They were running some of their faster laps of the race just after pit stops. That is going to burn more fuel, and you have to wonder if that just wasn't accounted for, and maybe it was accounted for the 28. They said, hey, we might be just a little bit short. Save some fuel behind that one car. Don't try and pass them until the end. And it worked out for Riley Spurgeon. The two in front of him had to pit. He didn't. He ends up at victory lane.
Strategy, Joe. I think it's more nerve-wracking than, pit road. Like, just being on pit road, like how we always see accidents is, we're always nervous about that. How about the stuff that comes after pit road?
I know.
That's a lot worse.
We've seen it a lot. You think about California this season, we had that fuel issue there, and we've seen it a lot over the past few seasons where fuel can come into play, and it did here today. We thought they would be fine, but they weren't on fuel. But for Riley Spurgeon, he was fine as he claims victory in the Samsung RadioShack 500. A great run through the field for Jay Rando, who had to start way back outside the top 30. He ends up in second place here today in that number 97. Another good run through the field for Mathis Wells. Started mid-pack, but gets a third out today. Baby Ruiz gets a top 5. Fourth place for that Melling Ultra Motorsports team. An absolutely outstanding performance for him. And Ryan Wilson gets DEI's lone top 5 here today. Keegan Thompson had to come from the back of the field as well. One of his best races of the season in 6th place. Hunter Reed with a very solid top 10 in 7th. Evan Hunter had the field to make it. He flew through the field at the end to get 8th. Justin Atkins from the back in 42nd gets 9th. And Laura Chung had to come from the back as well, gets a top 10. Jordan Stell, about where he started 13th, ends up in 11th here today. Strickland and Luke Rady just outside the top 10. And how about this, Trey? Brett Sierra passes Keyshawn Richardson on the last lap as the 99 was trying to make it on fuel. He was one of the first cars that pitted. He did make it, but ends up falling a spot to Brett Sierra. So Sierra will gain 1 spot's worth of points on Keyshawn Richardson after today. However, he lost ground to drivers like Hunter and Spurley too, so some drivers did close in. However, his closest competitor, he beat him by just 1 spot. There you see some drivers that had a kind of a hard second half of the race, like Eli Bright down in 19th. Fitzwater, he had to start once again back, 42nd place, gets a top 20. There you see DeLello, he finished probably about the highest he was all race. Matthew Burnett came back up for 24th at the end. Evans gets 26th. Then the cars that had to come back down pit road ran dry. Sebastian Kukulon, a lap down from the lead, 30th place. Hernandez from second, 31st place. And then you look down, Kurtster 37th, Jericho 38th, Burton Crown 39th, 2 laps down. Zidell and Miller and Gutierrez all finished multiple laps down with the issues they had here today at the Texas Motor Speedway. And now we take a look at the point standings leaving Texas. It's still a pretty good gap, Trey, for Brett Sierra, but some others have closed in a little bit on this championship battle. Drivers like Hunter and Spurley that had really good days. Jay Brando as well. They kind of closed in. It's not really, they're not close enough to really make a move quite yet on that points lead, but they're close enough to make moves towards that points lead.
Yeah, they you know what, this championship, everyone that has a contention, or really, anyone in the field, as long as they can play the long game and really plan that out, I'm not counting anyone out.
No, I think if you're inside the top 10 in points right now, you still have a realistic shot at competing for this Winston Cup Series championship, especially with what this next race is going to be. A very similar racetrack to Texas, in fact, nearly identical to the Texas Motor Speedway, just a little bit rougher. We're going racing at the Lowe's Motor Speedway for the World 600 trades, the longest race of the Winston Cup Series season in terms of length. And my goodness, what are we going to see when it comes to that one? We've seen some chaos at the Lowe's Motor Speedway in the past, and I have to imagine with 2 clean weekends in a row, I don't know if we get lucky with a 3rd clean weekend in a row.
So there's a storm of brewing.
Yes.
And out of all tracks to end up making that storm happen, it's going to be this next one here. And I'll be honest with you, if you're a team owner, your wallet's going to be shaking.
Oh yeah, and it's a big payday there, so someone's wallet is going to be a little bit fuller after the end of that one. But we'll just have to see how it all plays out a week from now. The World 600 at the Lowe's Motor Speedway. Congratulations to Riley Spurgeon getting his first victory of the Winston Cup Series season on fuel mileage here at the Texas Motor Speedway. For Trey Bardo and Joe Rakowski, so long from the Samsung RadioShack 500 at the Texas Motor Speedway.